All right, let's dive into this really powerful idea from filmmaker Zhang Wen. It basically frames your whole life as one fundamental choice. Are you raising sheep or are you raising wolves?
So this is the phrase that kicks the whole thing off. Poor people raise sheep, rich people raise wolves. Now, before you jump to conclusions, I gotta tell you, this isn't really about money. Not in the way you think. It's a metaphor for a much, much deeper choice that we all have to make. So what is really going on here? If it's not about your bank account, what is it about? Well, it's about two completely different ways of approaching life, two mindsets that kind of shape every single decision you make. On one hand, you've got the path of the sheep. That's a life of just passive acceptance, following the herd. But on the other side, you have the path of the wolf, a life of active, principled direction, where you carve your own way. So let's break this down, and we'll start with what it even means to be rich in this whole context.
The first major difference really comes down to what we could call your currency of integrity. It's not about the money you earn, but how you earn it, and more importantly, what you're willing to give up to get it.
Zhang Wen puts this so perfectly. He says you can earn money while standing up, or you can earn it while kneeling down. Standing means you're self-sufficient. You're living by your principles. You never compromise your core values. Kneeling? Well, that's when you bend your will to somebody else just for the sake of profit. For him, the choice is so obvious that kneeling isn't even on the table. It's not an option.
And look, this isn't just some nice thing to say. It's a core belief. He says, I've always felt I am the richest. And get this perspective wasn't something he developed after he got famous. It was there from day one.
47 yuan. That was it. That was the amount of his very first paycheck. And on that day, he said he felt like a millionaire. Why? Because it was enough. It was enough to get something to eat, to buy a new pair of shoes, to be independent, and most importantly, it was enough to stand.
So you see, true wealth isn't about stacking more and more cash. It's about having just enough to protect your principles, to protect your integrity. But that financial independence, that's just the foundation. The real power, the wolf mindset, comes from mastering your inner self.
To live this life of integrity, it takes a ton of inner strength. The speakers in this conversation brought up this really powerful concept for how to achieve it, and they used the incredible discipline of actor Eddie Peng as the perfect example.
The concept is called Ling Ro Feng Kai, which translates to separating soul and body. It's this state of absolute self-mastery, where your soul, your conscious will, is in complete command of your body, with all of its complaints, its cravings, and its desire for comfort.
Think about it like this. Your soul is the commander, and your body is the soldier. Now, the soldier might complain, right? It's tired, it's hungry, it's sore, but all of those complaints are completely irrelevant to the mission that the commander has set. It's through that kind of absolute discipline that you find a much higher form of freedom.
Because true freedom isn't just doing whatever you feel like in the moment. That's just being a slave to your appetites. No, true freedom is the ability to command yourself, to say get up, and you actually get up, to decide to do the hard work, and then you just do it. So how does this whole philosophy apply to something like a creative craft?
For filmmakers like Zhang Wen, making movies isn't just a business. It's a craft that demands deep respect. And this reverence, it was really forged in their youth, back when seeing a movie was this incredibly rare and almost sacred event.
Just try to imagine a time when movies were so precious that you would do almost anything just for a chance to see one. That kind of desperation, it creates this profound respect for the art form itself. And when I say desperate, how desperate are we talking?
Well, first, you'd try to climb the theater walls, literally scale them. If that didn't work, maybe you'd try to snatch a ticket right out of someone's hand in the chaos at the entrance. And if all else failed, the absolute last resort was to get behind the screen and watch the entire movie in reverse. When you value something that much, you don't just sell it, you share it with reverence.
And that whole idea leads to this beautiful metaphor. A director's job, he says, is to invite the audience to a feast. And when you're hosting a feast for guests you truly honor, you don't cut corners. You can't be cheap. You give them the absolute best you have to offer. So here we are again with another clear choice. Is your work a feast designed to nourish and delight your audience? Or is it just a commodity, a product built to chase market trends and boost stock prices? Now, this entire philosophy of standing tall, of mastering yourself, of serving your craft, it isn't some new age invention. They argue it's actually timeless. Despite all our technological progress, all our fancy apps and algorithms,
The fundamental challenges of just being human have stayed remarkably consistent through the ages.
Think about this powerful statement for a second. Human technology is advancing, but humanity itself has not progressed. I mean, we have more information in our pockets than existed in the entire ancient world, and yet our capacity for wisdom, for integrity, that hasn't really changed since the time of Confucius.
Our basic desires, that deep search for meaning, the daily struggle between our higher goals and our lazy instincts, these things are universal. The need for stories that actually mean something, and that constant, nagging choice between doing what's right and doing what's easy, it's just as relevant today as it was thousands of years ago.
And that brings everything right back to the beginning. The choice between being a sheep or a wolf, between standing or kneeling, between letting your soul command your body or letting your body command your soul. This isn't a new problem. This has always been the central question of living a meaningful life.
So, this brings the whole philosophy back to you. In your own life, in your work, in your art, what does it mean for you to raise a wolf? What does it mean for you to stand?